are too large a prey for the brown owl. But they're quite easily spooked. If they play too rough, the mother nips the cubs in the neck, and the little ones immediately turn rigid so the mother can pull them into the den. Noisy clamour coming out of the breeding burrow of the great spotted woodpecker. The chicks are demanding varied nutrition, insects and larvae, at times predigested into a paste by the parents. The green woodpecker feeds only on ants. He is looking for them even in this dead piece of wood. The great spotted woodpecker chicks are fed every 5 to 10 minutes. Both parents participate in feeding their offspring. After 1 month, they will leave the nest and have to care for themselves. Woodpeckers usually build a new breeding burrow every year. Others can't build their own burrow. They have to find one that's not being used anymore, such as this brown owl. The owl's chicks hatch after 4 weeks, and both parents also have to constantly supply them with food, especially mice. The old Rhine arms are full of foliage now. Even underwater, there is new growth everywhere. Some of the water lilies open their flowers before they even crest the water surface of the springs. Pieces of wood drifting on the bottom. On a closer look, they seem to have legs. For protection against the bellica, the caddisflies build a tube-like structure. They glue together pieces of plants, sand and rocks with a special type of secretion and shape them into a quiver that they can live in. The two of them are fighting for good building materials. As long as the larvae grow, they will constantly have to make their quiver larger as well. Caddisflies need extremely clean water. They're a good indicator that the water quality is very high. The kingfisher uses the crystal clear water of the springs to his advantage. But not every dive is successful. The alluvial forest offers the sparrow-sized kingfisher enough places to perch above the water surface in order to dive for food. Kingfishers are not very social birds. During mating season, the female chases off the male with her orange-coloured lower beak at first. A possible mate has to tread carefully and definitely bring gifts. Once he offers her a fish, he proves himself to be an avid hunter, which is important while they both take care of their offspring. She does have to kill his gift herself, though. White swans tend to live in groups outside of the breeding season. As soon as they have young, though, the couple withdraws from the group and live just as a family. They have an average of 5 to 7 chicks. This couple, on the other hand, is blessed with 9 ugly ducklings. White swans have a mostly vegetarian diet. With their long necks, the parents pull up aquatic plants for the chicks to feed on. They then shake the greens in order to pull them apart. The vegetation-rich old Rhine arms are the ideal habitat for the swan chicks. In the late afternoon, the swan family swims back to their large nest in order to settle in for the night. The nest will be used for many years to come and is re-padded every year with feathers, so it's nice and soft. It will be 2 years before the chicks will be able to spread their own wings as wide as their parents. Swan parents have no problem protecting their offspring, but for safety reasons they prefer to build their nest on small islands away from the shoreline, where foxes and other predators would have easy access to it. It's evening now, and soon it'll be night time in the alluvial forest. It's the time of day for the brown owls to come out. And the badgers. The large martens come out of hiding at night. They live in large family compounds underground. They're neither loners nor curmudgeons. Several badger families live together at times, and their dens are up to 5 meters deep in the ground. Some of the offspring from last year still live in these dens as well. The brown owl fledglings, on the other hand, will leave their nest after 4 weeks for the first time and sit on nearby branches. The rowdy badger offspring are back in the den. Now the mother can tend to her own bodily hygiene. It's early morning, and after a cold night, the Rhine's alluvial forest looks almost enchanted. Dewdrops make the cobwebs of the cross spiders look like pearl-covered works of art. Dragonflies are still rigid from the cold of the night. They're not able to move yet. Their body temperature will increase very slowly. This wasp spider, on the other hand, is already having breakfast. It sucks on the prey it caught days ago, pre-digested by secretions. Morning in the old Rhine region. A great white egret and a grey heron are fishing for their first meal of the day. They both have their own ways to hunt. The third in their league is a little egret. This one even has several different strategies to catch his breakfast. It doesn't bill in order to drink, but to lure in fishes. With great success. Little egrets often jump through the shallow water sideways. In order to stir up fishes from the bottom. Which they then only have to scoop up with their beak. The two larger species are a bit more laid back in their hunting techniques. The great white egret strides through the water until it finds a crab and quickly snatches it up. The grey heron is a very patient hunter. It lies in ambush and waits. This small pike is safe underneath the water lily leaf. So the heron has to be content with smaller bites at times. The little egret has another trick up its plumage. It shakes its legs in order to stir up prey. That's 3 lines of attack. The river water crowfoot grows in many of the old Rhine arms and the Gießen springs, in quite an abundance. This is also the nursery for some of the insects that look like they were taken right out of a science fiction film with their large eyes and extraterrestrial looks. More than 40 different types of dragonflies live here. More than half of all dragonfly species that live in all of Central Europe. All dragonflies are incredible flyers because their wings can move independently of each other. While mating, the dragonflies often create a circle. The female bends its hindquarters towards the front of the male's seminal gland. She is held in place by her head in the male's pincers, a very complicated looking act. But even more complicated is the tandem egg-laying of the azure damselflies, the most common damselfly species in the region. The female sits on floating leaves, while the male hovers right above her in the air. He is holding on to her with his pincers so that no other male can swoop in between them and fertilize her eggs. She lays her eggs in between the aquatic plants. Sometimes she even has to go underwater. He is with her the entire time, until she has finished laying her eggs. Then he takes off and flies away. The sundew grows in marshy areas. The dew is sugary and glistens harmlessly on top of leaves in the early morning. Like morning dew, it lures insects towards the plant. As soon as the insects get stuck in the dewdrops, the sundew's digestive secretions dissolve the insects, and they become nutrition for the flesh-eating plant. The old Rhine arms and its springs, the Gießen, with their escarpments, are a great habitat for kingfishers. The parents are quite busy because each of the chicks will feed on 10 fishes per day. They are diving non-stop like clockwork. Their offspring are quite cooperative. Whoever has been fed moves one place backwards in the den. This way, each chick will be fed the same amount, and they grow evenly. Until they're able to feed themselves. In some areas, the alluvial forests reach close to the river flowing in its canal. Along the shoreline, fledged brown owls are taking small trips off their branches to the ground. Now the young bird has to quickly climb back up the tree because it's been spotted. Thankfully, its sharp talons and pointy beak make it a fast climber. The fledgling would have been easy prey, but the vixen is preoccupied with her cubs. Or did she not even spot the owl? The brown owl fledgling has made it to safety before the entire fox family walks by.